Hello, guys. I'm very excited to tell you all that I have a very special guest with me today. So, she is a very prominent YouTuber. She has her own podcast channel by the name of Creation Station. You can catch it up on Spotify. She has some amazing content to deliver to her audience. So, it's none other than Srilekha Karnic. I welcome you to my channel, Srilekha.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, Rahul. So weird getting introduced. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I can't wait to have this conversation. Literally my favorite topics ever.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. So, jumping to your journey, to your amazing journey, what has your journey been in content creation like? That is something that viewers would love to know.
Yeah, so my journey with content started like this year. I changed jobs from like a corporate job to
Right,
a startup, where actually at my full-time job also all I do is create content. I just do it for like online workshops.
right,
So I was doing creating videos, like written content, all of that at work. And as soon as the lockdown started, I remember the first day that we went into work from home, I just decided to start my blog. I decided to start a personal finance blog
right,
because I was reading a lot about it and I really wanted to share stuff about that. And it was just amazing. Like, even though obviously, like when you start off, no one cares, no one reads your stuff. Okay? It's like you're
right.
literally putting out stuff into a void.
Yeah,
Even then, even the few, like one, two people who used to find it, it was so crazy that like I knew something and I could put it out and someone else who also cared would read it and like reply. That whole entire like concept was just so amazing that I was like, okay, I'm going all into this. So I started my Instagram, I started my podcast, I started LinkedIn. LinkedIn was just a whole phase of its own. I was just like super active on LinkedIn. And then gradually, of course, then I figured out like what's working, what's not. Initially you just got to try out stuff, and
right,
then you figure out, okay, niche is a thing. I have to figure out, like, I can't just talk about everything. I have to
right.
like figure out that. And then like what platforms make sense, what is saturated, what is not. I keep editing, changing, learning. And then I moved on to YouTube. I started another blog. I have a newsletter now. Twitter,
Right,
I'm figuring it out. Twitter is its whole thing.
right,
So yeah, right now I think I actively create content on like 7 different platforms, which seems like a lot, but if you can just figure out a good structure for yourself,
right,
if you can have a good repurposing strategy, if you have plans and schedules, it's really not a lot. So it seems
right.
like a lot, but it's amazing. I sometimes I really think like, okay, I think maybe I had to scale back on one, but I'm like, I can't choose. Each one of them are so good and they have their own like pros and cons. I'm like, I can't choose, they're all my babies.
Right.
So 7 it is. I'm going ahead with 7. So that's been my content creation journey. And I actually liked it so much that I was creating content around personal development initially. And because I really enjoyed learning about content creation, that
Right,
after a while I'm like, okay, I think I know a lot. I think I've picked up a lot of stuff. It would be really great if I just start documenting my own journey creating content and talking about that, and why other people should do it, because people were so confused when I was creating content initially. They're like, why are you making videos? Like, what are you doing? Don't say these things on the internet and all of that. But I'm like, no, it's beautiful. Like, you can get so many opportunities if you do this. So
right.
right now I'm just on that journey to let everyone know that, like, hey, I think every single person should be creating content online, not just like content creators and all of that.
Right. That's an amazing journey. Creating content on 7 platforms is something that many people can't even imagine, and you're actually doing that. So that's really great. And I've been following your content on all these platforms. I've been following it on a regular basis, and I see that you post your content on a consistent basis. So on YouTube, you post 2 videos. On your podcast, you have one podcast going out every week. So this is something, a very important question that I have received from a lot of people, and even this is my question that I'd love to get your insights on. That how do we end up getting that kind of content inspiration? If let's say if I have decided to make content, what are the good sources to get the content inspiration? Where can people get that content inspiration from, and what, according to you, should be the process for that?
See, it's like literally whoever you are, even if you're like a super non-creative person, whoever you are going to consume some content or the other. It's just not
Right,
possible in this day and age to not consume content, right? Like on social
right,
media or like on YouTube or anything. So if you want to step from being a consumer now to start creating content, the first
right,
thing you need to do is to actually look at what content you're consuming. Because if you're consuming that, that means you're probably interested in those topics, interested in that format, interested in those platforms, all of that, right? So that would be the best place to start. Something I always say is when you're getting started, all creating is recreating. Because
Right.
me, and I'm sure you also, right? You kind of like, okay, I read this nice quote. Let me kind of take inspiration from what I've just read and then
Yes.
create something from that. You don't have a lot, you don't know yet how to have like really original thoughts,
Right.
speak from experiences, because maybe you don't have so many experiences. So initially that's totally fine to literally, kind of repackage content you're consuming and keep putting it out there. And even later on, even to this date, if I, let's say, 1 month stop consuming content, I don't think I'll be able to create the next month, because
Right.
a lot of where inspiration and my content ideas and everything comes from is from the content I consume. Like you consume something, it kind of gets distilled through you, and then you
Right.
add in your own experiences, your own thoughts, your own take on it, and that's it. Definitely what you create looks very different, but as a creator, you know exactly where that came from, and which piece of content that you consumed really led to that. So I
Right.
think, as if you want to create, what you consume is very important, because you can't, if you're consuming, like, let's say, digital marketing content, right?
Yes.
And but you want to be like a travel blogger, but you just have never consumed any travel content or anything like that, but you just want to be it. It's just not going to work out,
Right.
because if you want to get anything in this whole building your audience, creating content like space, you have to do it for a long, long time. This is not
Right.
a short-term thing. Like, we are just getting started. I think we're very well aware that we have a long way to go to
Right.
see some real benefits. So if it's not something you're interested in, it's not sustainable. It's never going to happen for you. So
Right.
only pick the thing that you're actually interested in and that you can keep talking about day in and day out for years, if not a decade, if not even more.
Right.
That can be very daunting, but if you're actually interested, it won't seem like that. It's been a year almost since I've like been like insanely creating content, and I'm like, I feel like I just got started, because
Right.
I'm like, I have so much more to learn. I have so much more to say. So most of my inspiration absolutely comes from the content I was consuming. Early on, a lot of what I was consuming was of Ali Abdal. I'm not sure if you know him. He's like a tech productivity YouTuber.
Right.
So obviously I was consuming a lot of productivity content, and I was also creating productivity content. But
Right.
now I feel like, as someone who has like a full-time job and also is trying to do something on the side, understanding productivity, understanding your own productivity is very, very important. You have
Yes.
to understand how to like get things done. It's it's never going to be like, okay, I'll wake up and I'll see what I feel like doing and I'll do it.
Right.
Nothing will ever happen. So I feel like in that sense, like, he's been a very great source of like inspiration for me, because I like picked up from him, and I was creating content like him initially, but now I understood that, okay, that's not really where I should be, but I still take a lot of what I've consumed from him. And another one, of course, I'm sure you also might have consumed a lot of Gary Vee, of course.
Yes.
um,
Absolutely.
yeah. So obviously, like, you can't be in this whole content space if you haven't been like heavily influenced by Gary Vee.
Right.
So yeah, just understanding that you have to just, as much content as possible, like he says, put out 100 pieces of content a day. That is
Yes.
very true. And even document, don't create is something I heavily take inspiration from. Most of what I create is documenting. Like, if I have designed my website, I'll make a video about my process designing a website. That's literally how my whole content works.
Right.
So everything that Gary Vee says has been like like super inspirational to not only the content I create, but also like the person I am now. So I don't know, like, I'm sure there's like polarizing opinions on him, of course, but I'm definitely for Team Gary Vee.
Right. No, these are some great insights. So this I also agree with, that it's very important to consume the content that you want to create, the type of content. So I personally follow people like, let's say, Ranveer Alabadia, Kunal Shah. So these are people into entrepreneurship, marketing, digital marketing. Let's say Seth Godin as well. So these are the kind of people, if you see my search history, you will find these people in the search history. So that has really helped me, and I'm sure that it would have really helped you to actually create content, to actually get those kind of content inspiration sources. So that is very important.